What makes this tiny European country consistently rank among the world's most livable nations? A place where women are renowned for their natural beauty, villages seem straight out of a fairy tale, and the Alps dominate much of its territory. But behind this seemingly perfect beauty lie surprising truths. The country, where everything works perfectly. What if there was a country where trains arrive almost exactly when they are supposed to? Streets are remarkably clean, public services run efficiently, and everyday life feels organized down to the smallest detail. For many visitors, Austria comes surprisingly close to that idea. The first thing people often notice is how orderly everything feels. Whether you're walking through Vienna, Salzburg, or a small alpine town, litter is rare. Public spaces are well maintained, and infrastructure functions with remarkable efficiency. Roads are smooth, public transportation is reliable, and even busy city centers feel calm compared to many major cities around the world. Austria's railway system is one of the most respected in Europe. Millions of passengers use trains every year, connecting cities, villages, and mountain regions with impressive reliability. In many areas, public transportation is so efficient that owning a car is considered optional rather than necessary. But what truly surprises visitors is the behavior of the people. Austrians are known for valuing punctuality, responsibility, and respect for public spaces. Rules are generally followed, not because people are forced to, but because social trust is deeply rooted in everyday life. This creates an environment where things simply work more smoothly. The country's capital, Vienna, has become a global symbol of quality living. Home to nearly 2 million residents, Vienna has repeatedly ranked among the world's most livable cities due to its healthcare, safety, education, transportation, environmental quality, and overall standard of living. Few cities manage to combine historic beauty with modern efficiency so successfully. Austria also benefits from a strong economy, high levels of public safety, and well-developed social services. With a population of just over 9 million people, the country consistently ranks among Europe's most prosperous and stable nations. Of course, no society is truly perfect. Austria faces challenges just like every other country. But what makes it remarkable is how effectively many systems function together. From transportation and healthcare to education and public services, the country has built a reputation for reliability that few nations can match. In a world where delays, congestion, and inefficiency often feel normal, Austria offers something increasingly rare. A society where everyday life runs with an almost unbelievable level of order and consistency. The coffee culture. Recognized by Unesco. What if you could sit in a cafe for 3 hours, order only 1 cup of coffee, and nobody would ask you to leave? In Austria, that's completely normal. For centuries, coffee houses have been at the heart of Austrian social life, especially in Vienna. Unlike modern cafes designed for quick visits, traditional Viennese coffee houses were created as places where people could slow down, relax, read, think, and have meaningful conversations. Time moves differently here. In fact, Vienna's coffeehouse culture became so unique that it was officially recognized by UNESCO as part of the world's intangible cultural heritage. According to UNESCO, these cafes are places where people spend time rather than simply consume coffee. The atmosphere is unlike anything most visitors have experienced. Marble tables, elegant chandeliers, wooden interiors, newspapers hanging from special racks, and waiters in formal attire create a setting that feels frozen in time. Some of Vienna's most famous cafes have been operating for well over a century and continue to attract both locals and tourists every day. What surprises many visitors is that Austrian coffeehouses are often described as public living rooms. People come not only to drink coffee, but to work, read books, meet friends, discuss politics, write novels, or simply observe life passing by. It is perfectly acceptable to remain seated for hours with a single cup. Historically, these cafes helped shape European culture. Famous composers, writers, philosophers, and political thinkers spent countless hours inside them. Some of the most influential ideas of the last 2 centuries were discussed over coffee in Vienna's legendary cafes. Today, Vienna welcomes millions of visitors annually, and experiencing a traditional coffee house remains one of the city's most popular activities. Yet, despite globalization and modern technology, the tradition survives remarkably unchanged. In a fast-moving world obsessed with speed and efficiency, Austria's coffee culture offers something increasingly rare: the opportunity to slow down, enjoy the moment, and appreciate the simple pleasure of a conversation over a cup of coffee. The Strangest Demon Festival in Europe. Imagine visiting a peaceful Austrian town in early December. The Christmas lights are glowing, families are gathering, and everything seems calm. Then suddenly, a group of terrifying horned creatures emerges from the darkness, charging through the streets while enormous bells echo through the night. Welcome to the world of Krampus, often described as one of Europe's strangest and most fascinating traditions. The Krampus festival takes place across parts of Austria during the Christmas season. The central figure is Krampus, a legendary creature from Alpine folklore said to accompany Saint Nicholas. While Saint Nicholas rewards good behavior, Krampus is traditionally portrayed as the frightening counterpart who warns those who have behaved badly. What makes the festival so unforgettable are the costumes. Participants spend months preparing elaborate outfits made from animal hides, wooden masks, horns, and handcrafted accessories. Some masks weigh several kilograms and are individually carved by skilled artisans, making each one unique. Many costumes stand over 2 meters tall, creating an intimidating appearance that surprises first-time visitors. The highlight of this celebration is the Krampus Run, known locally as Krampuslauf. During these events, hundreds of costumed participants move through town centers while crowds gather to watch. The atmosphere combines folklore, theater, music, and community tradition into a spectacle unlike anything else in Europe. Despite its frightening appearance, the festival is not intended to promote fear or harm. Today, it is primarily a cultural celebration that preserves centuries of Alpine heritage. Families attend together, local communities organize events, and visitors travel from around the world to witness the tradition firsthand. In recent years, social media and international documentaries have helped Krampus gain global attention. What was once a local custom in mountain villages has become one of Austria's most recognizable cultural events. Some festivals now attract tens of thousands of spectators each winter. For many travelers, Krampus represents a side of Europe rarely seen in postcards or guidebooks. Beneath Austria's elegant cities and breathtaking alpine landscapes lies a rich world of folklore, legends, and traditions that have survived for generations. And nowhere is that hidden world more unforgettable than on a cold winter night when the Krampus comes running through the streets. The village with a human bone house. At first glance, Hallstatt looks like one of the most beautiful villages on Earth. Nestled between a crystal-clear lake and towering alpine mountains, its colorful houses and breathtaking scenery attract more than 1 million visitors each year. But hidden behind this postcard-perfect image lies one of Europe's most unusual traditions. Near the village church stands a small chapel known as the Bone House, or Beienhaus. Inside are hundreds of carefully preserved human skulls arranged in neat rows. For many visitors, the sight is both fascinating and unsettling. The story behind this tradition dates back centuries. Hallstatt is surrounded by steep mountains, leaving very little flat land available for cemeteries. As the village population grew, burial space became increasingly limited. To solve the problem, local families adopted a practice that would seem extraordinary to most of the modern world. After a person had been buried for many years and natural decomposition had taken place, the remains were carefully exhumed. The larger bones were placed in storage, while the skull was cleaned, bleached by sunlight, and often decorated with painted flowers, crosses, names, and dates. These skulls were then preserved inside the chapel as a lasting memorial to the deceased. Today, the Hallstatt Bone House contains more than 600 skulls, many of them beautifully hand-painted. Some date back hundreds of years and provide a unique glimpse into the village's history. Rather than being viewed as something frightening, the tradition was intended as a respectful way to honor ancestors while managing limited burial space. What surprises many visitors is the artistic detail. Each painted skull tells a personal story, transforming what could have been a simple memorial into a remarkable piece of cultural heritage. Historians consider the collection one of the most unique examples of funerary traditions in Europe. In a village famous for its beauty, the Bone House reveals a completely different side of Hallstatt, one that reminds us how communities adapted to difficult circumstances while preserving the memory of generations that came before them. It is a tradition unlike almost anything else found in the modern world, and one of the many reasons Hallstatt continues to captivate visitors from across the globe. The country where insulting police can cost you money. Imagine visiting a country where a rude comment made in public could potentially lead to a fine, and where respect for authority is taken far more seriously than many travelers expect. Welcome to Austria. Austria is often praised for its safety, cleanliness, and high quality of life. But behind this orderly society lies another important characteristic: a strong culture of respect for public institutions and social rules. Many visitors are surprised to learn that certain forms of insulting behavior toward public officials, including police officers, can have legal consequences. Austrian law places significant value on maintaining public order and protecting individuals from offensive or abusive conduct. While freedom of expression is respected, deliberately insulting or provoking officials in certain situations may result in penalties. What makes this especially interesting is that Austria's reputation for politeness extends far beyond its legal system. Everyday interactions are often shaped by formal manners, punctuality, and mutual respect. Greeting people properly, speaking courteously, and following public rules are considered normal parts of social life. This culture of respect helps explain why Austria consistently ranks among the safest and most organized countries in Europe. Public transportation runs efficiently, public spaces remain clean, and interactions between citizens and authorities are generally calm and cooperative. For many travelers, the difference becomes noticeable almost immediately. People tend to wait patiently in lines, keep noise levels low on public transportation, and follow regulations that might be ignored elsewhere. These habits are not necessarily driven by fear of punishment, but by a shared expectation that everyone contributes to maintaining social harmony. Austria's legal system has occasionally attracted international attention when cases involving public insults or provocative behavior reached the courts. Such cases often surprise foreigners who come from countries with different cultural norms regarding public conduct. Of course, this does not mean Austria is an overly strict society. In fact, it remains one of the most welcoming and livable countries in the world. However, it does demonstrate how seriously many Austrians take the concepts of civility, respect, and responsibility. In a world where public behavior often seems increasingly chaotic, Austria offers a different model, one where courtesy is not just appreciated, but deeply woven into the fabric of everyday life. the world's largest ice cave. Deep within Austria's mighty Alps lies a place that seems to belong to another world. A frozen kingdom hidden inside a mountain, filled with towering walls of ice, massive frozen chambers, and formations that appear almost impossible to believe. This is Eisriesenwelt, the largest ice cave on Earth. Located near the city of Salzburg, Eisriesenwelt stretches for more than 42 kilometers through the heart of the mountain. Its name literally means World of the Ice Giants, and once visitors step inside, it becomes easy to understand why. What makes the cave truly remarkable is that it is not entirely frozen. Only the first section contains the spectacular ice formations that attract hundreds of thousands of visitors every year. Cold winter air becomes trapped inside the cave system, creating conditions that allow enormous ice structures to form and survive. As visitors move deeper into the illuminated chambers, they encounter giant ice walls, frozen waterfalls, crystal-like formations, and towering pillars of ice that can reach several meters in height. The atmosphere feels more like a fantasy movie set than a natural cave. One of the most fascinating aspects of Eisriesenwelt is that it is constantly changing. Unlike many natural landmarks that remain largely the same, the cave's ice formations grow, shrink, and transform with seasonal weather patterns. Every year, visitors may see slightly different shapes and structures created by nature itself. The cave was first explored scientifically in the late 19th century, but local residents had known about its existence long before. Today, it has become one of Austria's most extraordinary natural attractions, drawing visitors from around the world. The journey to the cave is an adventure in itself. Perched high above the surrounding valleys, the entrance offers breathtaking views of the alpine landscape. Snow-covered peaks, dense forests, and dramatic cliffs create a setting worthy of one of Europe's greatest natural wonders. What shocks many people is that such a massive underground ice world can exist in a country already famous for its mountains, lakes, and picturesque villages. Yet Eisriesenwelt remains one of Austria's most incredible hidden treasures. In a world where many natural wonders are disappearing, this frozen giant continues to remind visitors of the extraordinary power and beauty of nature hidden beneath the surface of the Alps. The underwater park that appears only for weeks. Imagine walking through a peaceful park filled with benches, footpaths, bridges, and trees. Now imagine returning a few weeks later and finding that the entire park has disappeared beneath crystal-clear turquoise water. It sounds impossible, but in Austria, this extraordinary transformation actually happens. Hidden among the mountains of Styria lies Grüner See, or Green Lake, one of the most unusual natural phenomena in Europe. For most of the year, the area looks like a typical alpine park. Visitors can walk along trails, sit on benches, and enjoy the surrounding mountain scenery. Then, spring arrives. As temperatures rise, snow and ice from the nearby mountains begin to melt. The meltwater flows down into the basin, dramatically increasing the lake's water level. Within a relatively short period, the calm park is transformed into an underwater landscape unlike anything else on Earth. At its peak, the water can rise several meters above its normal level, completely submerging walking paths, wooden bridges, park benches, and sections of surrounding vegetation. Looking through the incredibly clear water, visitors can still see the park beneath the surface, as if time had suddenly stopped. The lake's famous emerald green color comes from minerals carried by the mountain water and the way sunlight interacts with the crystal-clear depths. On sunny days, visibility can be astonishing, creating the illusion that the underwater world is floating in midair. For years, photographs of submerged benches and pathways made Grüner See an international sensation. Images of the underwater park spread across travel magazines, documentaries, and social media, attracting visitors from around the globe. What makes the phenomenon so rare is its temporary nature. As summer progresses and water levels gradually recede, the lake shrinks again. The submerged park slowly reappears, returning to its normal state until the cycle begins once more the following year. The entire transformation is driven by natural seasonal processes, making it one of Europe's most fascinating examples of how dramatically a landscape can change within just a few weeks. In a country already famous for breathtaking mountains and lakes, Grunner See stands apart as something truly extraordinary. A place where nature briefly creates an underwater world that seems too magical to be real. The world's oldest newspaper still exists. Imagine holding a newspaper that was already publishing stories before the United States existed, before the Industrial Revolution transformed Europe, and before many modern nations had even been founded. In Austria, that newspaper is real. Founded in 1703, Wiener Zeitung is widely recognized as one of the oldest newspapers in the world that continued publication for more than 3 centuries. For generations, it served as a remarkable witness to some of the most important events in human history. When the newspaper first appeared, Austria was part of the powerful Habsburg Empire, one of Europe's most influential dynasties. Over the centuries, Wiener Zeitung reported on imperial politics, scientific discoveries, economic changes, cultural movements, and major international events that reshaped the world. Think about the history it has witnessed: the rise and fall of empires, the Napoleonic Wars, the Industrial Revolution, the invention of electricity, the birth of aviation, 2 world wars, the emergence of modern Europe, and the digital age, all occurred during the lifetime of this single publication. What makes its story even more remarkable is its survival. Throughout political transformations, technological revolutions, and dramatic changes in how people consume information, Wiener Zeitung adapted again and again. Few institutions anywhere in the world can claim such an extraordinary connection to history. For historians, the newspaper represents an invaluable archive of the past. Millions of pages preserve details about everyday life, political decisions, cultural trends, and historical moments stretching back hundreds of years. In many ways, it serves as a written memory of Austria itself. The newspaper's longevity also reflects Austria's deep respect for education, culture, and public information. Long before television, radio, or the internet existed, newspapers like Wiener Zeitung helped connect citizens to the wider world. Today, in an era dominated by smartphones and digital media, the idea of a publication with roots reaching back to 1703 feels almost unbelievable. Yet its legacy continues to inspire journalists, historians, and readers around the globe. In a rapidly changing world where information appears and disappears within seconds, Wiener Zeitung stands as a powerful reminder that some stories are worth preserving for centuries. The country where people believe water, toasts, bring bad luck. Imagine sitting in a traditional Austrian restaurant, raising your glass for a celebratory toast, and suddenly noticing everyone around you looking surprised. The reason? Your glass contains water. In Austria, as well as in parts of neighboring Central Europe, many people consider toasting with water to be bad luck. While it may seem like an innocent gesture to visitors, local tradition has long associated it with misfortune and even symbolic references to farewell rituals from centuries ago. No one knows exactly how the belief began, but one popular explanation traces it back to ancient customs where water was connected to the underworld and spirits of the dead. According to folklore, making a toast with water was thought to bring bad fortune to the people involved. Today, most Austrians do not literally believe a glass of water will cause disaster, yet the tradition remains surprisingly well known. What makes this custom fascinating is how seriously Austrians take social etiquette in general. A proper toast involves more than simply raising a glass. In many situations, people make eye contact, say, "Prost," and lightly clink glasses before taking a sip. Failing to acknowledge others at the table can sometimes be seen as impolite. This attention to manners reflects a broader aspect of Austrian culture. Respect for tradition, etiquette, and social customs continues to play an important role in everyday life. Whether attending a family gathering, a wedding, a business dinner, or a local festival, understanding these unwritten rules helps visitors connect more naturally with local people. Austria's rich cultural heritage includes countless traditions that have survived for generations. Some are linked to religion, others to folklore, and many simply reflect the country's deep appreciation for history and social harmony. For travelers, these customs often become some of the most memorable parts of the experience. After all, learning about a country's traditions reveals far more than its monuments or landscapes ever could. So, if you ever find yourself celebrating in Austria, remember one simple rule. When everyone raises their glass, make sure it's not filled with water. You may not believe in bad luck, but you probably won't want to test one of Austria's oldest superstitions. Austria is not just home to majestic mountains and ancient cities. It is also a place that combines stunning natural beauty, a high quality of life, and unique traditions that have existed for centuries. These facts make Austria one of the most worthwhile countries to explore in the world.